Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the AGDQ 10th anniversary broadcast. Real quick, before we get into Super Metroid, just want to remind everybody that if you're just tuning in, Frame Fatale, our next Frame Fatale is going to be February 23rd to 29th. That is an all-woman speedrunning marathon. And we are having submissions for that right now, so whether you want to submit a game or you want to volunteer, you can go to gamesdonequick.com/framefatale for more information. That's FRAMEFATALES. And of course, AGDQ is going to be next week. Awesome Games Done Quick. We're raising money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It is going to be a week-long fun marathon. You guys know what that's about. Just don't forget that we exist. January 5th, starting at noon Eastern Time. Well, without further ado, let's get into Super Metroid, where we have Zoast running it, and he has a wonderful commentary couch with Kipp and ShinyZeni. So, Zoast, I give it to you.
Thank you, Darkman. I'm wondering if this is a 105 in-game time. It's my first thought of this. That Vorpal Edge did back in the day.
It was like an approximate time because CGDQ, they didn't have a timer on stream, so we had to guess.
Oh, alright, cool. I guess I can go ahead and start. What do I just need a countdown when I'm starting for y'all?
Yeah, Kipp or ShinyZeni, would you like to give him a countdown?
I'm ready whenever.
Go ahead, Kipp.
All right, let's get this started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Super Metroid portion of the day. My name is Kipp, and I'm joined today by ShinyZeni on commentary. Zeni, how you doing?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
I am great, and we're very excited to do some commentary here for Zoast for the Super Metroid Any Percent run. Everybody knows that Super Metroid is a really, really fun speed game out there. It's got a really robust community, very competitive, and Zoast is without question one of our absolute top-tier runners. You guys are in for a treat. Zeni, tell us a little bit about what the Any Percent run is going to look like.
So traditionally in Any Percent, what people would do is they would go and they would fight Kraid and get the Varia suit. But the first thing that you're going to notice is that in modern runs, Zoast is actually going to be fighting Phantoon first. So there's going to be a little bit of interesting tech that we can point out when we get there that allows us to get over to the wrecked ship first to do that. From there, we'll go down and clear out the other bosses. And then, of course, at the end, we will head to Turian and defeat Mother Brain.
Yeah, and as we'll point out along the way, you know, the sort of intended method of beating the game starts with Kraid, but this is sort of generally referred to as New Route. It was discovered several years ago, and the benefit is that you cut out a lot of routing back and forth that you would normally have to do from the time you kill Kraid and then collect some items in Norfair, then back up to wrecked ship. We're going to be getting rid of a lot of that. We're also going to be cutting out some routing to pick up the plasma beam. So one of the challenges of New Route is, you know, you have to end up fighting not only Mother Brain, but also Ridley with a lot less firepower than you would in the traditional old route. But if you can manage to, you know, pull off the strats that you're needed to do to go fast, you'll end up getting a much faster time with this route. So this is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, it's not worth getting plasma because you've already killed Ridley in this route. So it's only helpful for Mother Brain, and it's not helpful enough. It doesn't save enough time to justify detouring to get plasma.
Yeah, I know. I personally, I took it for granted how helpful plasma was against Ridley. So when I started running this version of Any Percent, I was very surprised at how much practice I had to do against Ridley, just Ridley. So one of the things that you're going to be seeing here that Zoast does throughout the run is something called a moonfall. Basically what he does is he does a moonwalk and then he jumps backwards, and basically what it does is it removes the fall speed cap so he can fall really, really fast.
There's a little bit of setup to it, so it's not worth doing in every room. It needs to be like a pretty long fall, or somewhat long fall, at least like two screens, I guess.
Yeah, one of the great things about a game like Super Metroid is the physics involved and the sort of techniques that you're able to use are so deep and complex that there's just a ton of opportunity to get a lot of frame savers in addition to big time gains. And someone like Zoast is do what?
I said and lose frames.
Exactly. And so someone like Zoast, who has really crafted his run, is doing a lot of small things that might not be overly perceptible to the normal viewer, but every so often there are many frames being saved that add up a ton over the course of a run like.
One example of that is you'll see Zoast moving his arm cannon up and down repeatedly throughout most of the run. We refer to that as arm pumping. Every time he does that, it actually moves Samus forward 1 pixel. So throughout the course of the entire run, it saves a handful of seconds.
And we're coming up here on the climb, which is probably, especially when you're first getting started, trying to speedrun this game and learn some tech, this is one of the most difficult rooms in terms of just the ability to execute it physically. Zoast using a beautiful wall jump climb, perfectly executed, very fast.
Very nice climb.
Yeah, definitely the hardest part of early game. Pit room coming back, climb and parlor going up.
So we're going to be fighting the first boss here. It's Bomb Torizo. You'll see Zoast picks up bombs to use with Morph Ball. And then the statue comes to life. The door actually locks, so you can't leave until you've defeated the boss.
Why does nobody try to skip this boss?
You tell me.
I saw it done once.
Arm pump faster.
Nice drops there by BT. One thing, I don't want to get too deep on the tech, but one thing that you will see runners of this game do is try to manipulate the drops as much as they can. And to give a sort of brief overview, drops are kind of on 2 different tiers. Energy and regular missiles is on tier 1. Supers and power bombs are on tier 2. You can actually manipulate the tier 1 drops by sort of controlling how much energy or missiles you have and supers and such. But unfortunately, tier 2 drops, which are the more valuable ones, typically usually are just kind of up to RNG. So he did a good job of being full on energy there and getting tons of missile drops and was able to kill BT pretty quickly.
So we picked up our first energy tank here. Just worth noting, there's a minimum requirement of 3 energy tanks in order to finish the game.
Without glitches, yeah.
Yeah, that's something we actually should mention. I think a lot of games in the speedrunning community, if you hear them say any %, it just means any %. Ours is slightly different. When we refer to any %, it means no major glitches, which is sort of an agreed upon rule set. There is an any % glitched category as well, who actually Zeni here is the world record holder. But it looks a lot different than what you're going to see today. So this is a little bit more of what you might consider a traditional run through the game.
Yeah, any % is basically short for any % no major glitches in this game, and like true any % is either true any % or glitch any %. The way we say it, because I mean most people. Glitch 20% is rarely done. Oh, it's not that rarely done as compared to this one. It is. So like just to keep things, I don't know. I don't know if it's more confusing or not, but it's just easier to say any % all the time. There's been a lot of discussion about the nomenclature, but it's kind of pointless. It's just semantics.
So we're doing a little bit of item cleanup here before we go to wrecked ship. You'll see Zoast picking up a couple of missile packs and the charge beam. The charge beam is actually very important in this game because it allows you to damage bosses without ammunition. And he's going to be picking up pretty close to the minimum amount of ammunition to finish the game as well. So we got to use that charge beam to take out the bosses.
I'm going to pick up 1 extra missile pack from a world record attempt on this. Because on Mother Brain's first phase, if one of your missiles gets sniped by a turret, you lose the run immediately. Like just 1 missile. If you get one less missile pack than I'm going to get, you're at the bare minimum where you can't lose 1 missile. So it's kind of a little marathon unsafe.
This room here is Red Tower. This is normally where people would go down to do the old route, but instead Zoast is going to head up and grab a power bomb pack immediately. This will be the only power bomb pack that he grabs. As he just mentioned, he's going to grab 2 more missile packs before he's done, one of which will be here in about a minute or so, and 1 more super pack. So he's grabbing these power bombs. He's going to head up to the moat area and then try to get across to the wrecked ship to fight Phantoon. This is actually one of the places, if you're trying to learn New Route, that requires a ton of practice time and commitment to learning how to get over the moat. It can be a very frustrating room when you first get started.
Yeah, I was a top tier runner already when this route came out, and it still took a lot of adjustment on my part to learn it, get good at it.
Nice race against the CAC there.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, Zoast made it look very easy to climb up Red Tower there. It actually is not very easy. It's something that he's done a lot of practice with. It's pretty specific how you have to do that climb.
That's true, and he just opened 2 orange doors, one of which he didn't necessarily have to open now, but he chose to do it early. That way, when he gets done, he can come back to it. But we got a CWJ attempt.
Good.
Oh, baby. Zenny, why don't you explain how this one works here?
So that room, normally in order to cross that room, you would need either Grapple Beam or Shine Sparks, which is a speed booster tech. But instead, what we do in this route is basically we just time the jump perfectly so that we can jump across and then do a what's called a continuous wall jump off that pillar in the middle, which gets Samus all the way across. If they happen to miss the wall jump there, you can also do kind of a specific bomb jump to get across the second half of that room.
And just so everybody knows, I know he's sitting here talking, and we've got us doing commentary, and he's listening to us. But this is a very nice time to Phantoon. I mean, there are very few players that are going to be getting a time like this. So far, this run has been very, very speedy.
Yeah, this is good enough for world record pace, but Phantoon usually runs it immediately. So
Zoast is going to be using a strat called Dopplers here with his missiles. Basically, it allows him to get extra hits into Phantoon per round.
First round slow.
I got a missile eaten too. Oh baby. Yeah, I love it when you do this, Phantoon. Yeah.
Weren't you saying he was giving you good RNG in your practice runs earlier?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you used up all your good luck earlier.
Yeah.
What did you expect?
So we got 2 slows to begin with. Looks like this one's going to be also a slow, which is very, I won't call it rare, but it's unlikely that the right side will be a slow on these later rounds. But cleaning it up nicely. He's got, actually this is kind of cool. What I was talking about earlier with the drops, he's full on missiles. So he will not get any regular missile drops. It will only be energy and then potentially supers and power bombs. So this will actually probably get him pretty close to full.
I mean, this is a good loadout, but that was atrocious patterns for Phantoon. What can he do? You cannot manipulate Phantoon's patterns. People ask a lot, but you can't.
The RNG in this game actually changes per frame. So yeah, the idea of manipulating Phantoon, since his patterns are purely RNG based, is just, it's not humanly possible, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, if Zoast had just been slower, he could have got a better pattern.
Yep.
Or faster. We're all about the speed here.
This
to
is
get
a
through
fantastic
this room.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Zenny.
Yeah, so to get through this room, you actually have to clear every single enemy, or the doors will remain locked. So that was a very, very clean. That we call that room attic.
And just so everybody knows, that was not the standard attic that you would see probably most runners use. That was a very advanced method that gets a regular missile at an angle on that first atom, and then he was able to actually double hit the final Key Hunter and Atom with a super, so that he actually saved a super there. That was very well done.
So This room we lovingly refer to as bowling because of the position of this Chozo statue as it holds Samus in the morph ball. Kind of a slow room. Super Metroid's equivalent to an auto-scroller.
Yeah, there's a way to actually skip this, but it's very difficult. You die if you miss it, and you need a reserve tank anyway, so I'm not sure if it's even faster, even if you could do it perfectly. I don't think it is, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, I'd say, really. Fortunately, it's not faster.
All right, so we just picked up the gravity suit. This will allow Samus to move freely through water and other substances that would normally give water-based physics. It also gives a steep decrease in damage and nullifies heat damage as well, which is normally what Varia suit would do.
Exactly. It's basically as if you have the full protection of both. Like in the normal game when you're playing, if you pick up Varia suit first, you get 50% damage reduction and heat reduction. And then, you know, when you pick up gravity, you get another 50%, which brings it to a total of 75. But in this route, you've already got gravity suit and it provides both of those for you. The only thing gravity does not do is offer protection against certain special attacks. Like I believe it doesn't offer protection against Metroid Drain. It also doesn't work for the Rainbow Beam from Mother Brain 2 at the end of the run. So even though we have the more powerful suit already, we're gonna still need to pick up that various suit later.
Yeah, without Various suit, we would need 3 extra energy tanks in order to survive through the end of the run. So it makes more sense to pick up the other suit when we get there.
And now Zoast is going to head up to pick up the Spazer Beam, which without the Plasma Beam, we're going to need some extra, damage on our charge shots for both Ridley and Mother Brain. And Spazer is in a very convenient location to pick up along the way. So by the time we get to Wave, Ice, and Spazer, we'll be done with beams.
Where are we heading next, Kip?
Well, instead of going to fight Kraid, we're going to go ahead and head down the elevator to Norfair. And what we're going to do, this is where what you're watching right now is sort of the main reason that this route saves time over the traditional route. We're only going to have to go into the entirety of Norfair. That's both Upper Norfair and Lower Norfair one time. So we're going to clear all the items we want to collect here in Upper Norfair. We're going to head down to Lower Norfair immediately to fight Ridley. And then when we're done, we'll head back up. And that will also let us move faster in the Kraid portion of the run. And also, we can talk about it when we get there. It actually affects the ammo management with supers. Supers are very, very valuable, especially in this route. And so I guess before I kind of wrap that up, one thing I do want to say is this portion of the run is not dangerous. You're not going to run into anything where you're going to die or anything like that. But in my opinion, probably one of the most technically difficult sections of the run. So what you're seeing here is, this is where some of the elite runners really separate themselves from some of the other players.
Yeah, it's very easy to lose time.
Upper Norfair is easy to kind of gloss over, but Upper Norfair is a place where you can lose a ton of time. It's not quite as exciting as some of the other sections because you can't die as easily and stuff like that. You can't really die at all, but you can lose a lot of time movement. It's
funny. I actually get nervous sometimes during this section more than Lower Norfair, just because I know how much you can hemorrhage.
Right.
All right, so we got the Ice Beam, which allows us to freeze enemies, and it also gives a damage increase.
That's one of my favorite strats right there, the Ice Escape.
Oh, yeah.
Explain that one to us.
There. So, one thing that I don't know if we have mentioned it yet, is the Mach Ball. The way that it works is basically you just need to morph as Samus is landing from a run speed in a way that she doesn't bounce. And what it will do is it will actually give her a little bit of a speed boost so that she can do things like get under gates that would normally be blocking you without a speed booster.
want to point out this room really quick. That was really well done. We call that top side. Most people will jump down there and go underneath. And then on top of that, he gets I don't know if it's pixel perfect. It's very, very close. Super tight wall jump at Bubble Mountain and a D-boost off the waiver. Those two rooms were both very difficult, and he nailed both of them.
Yeah, that Bubble Mountain strat is one of the more difficult wall jumps in the game. It's pretty easy to just bonk there instead.
And now probably, I would argue, the most fun item in all of Super Metroid. I know some people might say Spring Ball, but I think Speed Booster, from a practical point of view, really adds so much depth to what you're allowed to do from a speedrunning perspective. There's so much tech involved, so many ways to utilize it, which we'll point out here in a little bit. But he's got his speed echoes here. He's going to do a little farming, hoping to get a few supers. This is that looks really good. We're only one super away from full. And he should be able to get some power bombs before heading to Lower Norfair. So we're in pretty good shape with our ammo here.
We're going to pick up one more beam here. It's the wave beam, which allows Samus to shoot through walls and again gives a damage increase.
Yeah, Spring Ball wouldn't be quite as fun without Speed Booster, so I have to agree with you on this.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. One thing to note real quick, this is sort of a niche thing, but whenever we're in item fanfares and other situations like elevators or pauses, the in-game timer does not actually run. And so the in-game timer is not affected at all by the extra missile pack. That was the 4th missile pack in a world record attempt. Zoast would not pick up those wave missiles. But the only thing it affects is the RTA time, but his in-game time is actually unaffected. So if you're going for, if you're trying to run in-game time strats for a specific reason, you don't have to necessarily stop yourself from picking up items.
All right, so normally to enter Lower Norfair here, we would need Space Jump. But Zoast is going to be doing a really cool trick called the Lava Spark is what we refer to it as. Basically, he's going to charge a Shine Spark in a very short amount of distance. And then if all goes well, he will use that to get up instead.
A little scary, but I got it.
I never doubted. I heard that you nailed it every single time in practice today, too. So confident you were going to.
So if you fall off the ledge right when you press down to get the Shine Spark charge, it makes it a little easier. It makes it harder when you don't, and I didn't. So I had to do a little backup. It makes it a little more difficult to time, so I was a little scared there.
So we're starting the Lower Norfair portion of the run. Obviously, every portion is important. The one thing I will say about this that's different than Upper Norfair is this is the kind of place where if you make a mistake, you get really heavily penalized. So this is an area of the run where if you mess up a few strats, it's very easy to die. So here comes worst room in the game, one of the coolest strats in the run. Beautiful.
Yeah, very nice. Normally, moving through Lower Norfair, you'd have both Space Jump and Screw Attack, and so moving through these rooms without either of those items is very dangerous, as Kipp was saying. We're gonna do another Shine Spark tech here. We're going to be killing a couple of these enemies here with Shine Spark Echoes. Those echoes actually do over 4,000 damage per frame when they connect with enemies that are vulnerable to them. And
Yeah.
it also
a lot of
greatly
lag on those
reduces
power
lag.
bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. There was like 4 pieces of individual tech that all accumulated in that room. It's kind of hard to explain all of it, but yeah, there was lag reduction. He also did a short charge to get that strat to begin with, and then use those Shine Spark Echoes to kill those key hunters, which he's going to do the same thing here in this Metal Pirate room. Since we don't have the Plasma Beam, we have to have an alternative method to kill him, so he's going to use these Shine Spark Echoes.
I'm just a little bit too far on that one.
Excellent. Soups, though.
Yeah.
Bet you'd love that RNG and low percent, right, Kipp?
Good grief. That would be the dream. So Zeni, explain a little bit here. Zoast actually only has the wave beam equipped. People do the Ridley fight differently. Explain to us a little bit about what he's about to do.
So Zoast has power bombs equipped right now. He's going to be using a a beam combo attack called X Factor. Basically, what it does is it uses a power bomb in conjunction with just a single beam enabled, and brings out these particles, which then will connect with Ridley to do a lot of damage. That was very beautiful.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is you don't have full control over it. He was able to get 3, but Ridley didn't cooperate for the 4th one.
Now that he's done with the X Factor,
3's pretty good too.
He's enabled his other beams again. Can't really be understated how important the damage increase from these beams are for Ridley, since we don't have Plasma Beam.
Yeah, big time. And speaking of that, the Ridley and Mother Brain fights, both of them have the same amount of hit points, 18,000, which our current beam combination is doing 300 each. So if all you did was fire beams, it would be 60 shots. However, Ridley actually takes double damage from supers. Supers normally do 300 as well, but they'll do 600 against Ridley, and that helps to speed up that fight. That was a gorgeous Ridley fight. Well done.
Thanks. Oh, not much health on that drop.
Maybe we might be getting some marathon-friendly pirates here in a minute.
Oh, I think I'm gonna have to farm the pirate coming out just to be safe.
Zenny, he, after killing Ridley, he de-equipped Ice and Spacer. Do you want to talk a little bit about what he's doing that for? Because it's in the future.
Yeah, so he's going to be using that that same X Factor strategy that was mentioned just a minute ago on a couple more bosses that are coming up. Namely a mini boss named Batwoon, and then also our last main boss, Dragon. We'll be using X Factors there as well.
So here we have one of 2 really sort of Monka-esque rooms. He's going to try to manipulate the movement of the key hunters in this room, but each key hunter will do 50 damage, and he doesn't want to get hit if he can avoid it. Unfortunately, he takes 1 hit, which is still okay, but he's going to wait for that key hunter and play this a little bit safe. He's got 1 more room with what we call the 3 Musketeers, which is a difficult room. Hopefully they will cooperate. Let's see what happens.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, I got lucky there.
All right, well, we're live, and that's all that counts, right? You have 30 more energy than you need. So,
oh Lord.
This segment of the run, I would say probably literally kills more runs than probably any other segment. When this route was first being implemented in modern runs a few years ago, part of the reason that people didn't want to run it was because those rooms were just so brutal to get through.
Or you could adopt the philosophy that I have, which is I'm going to be a slowpoke and I just grab the Ridley tank. But that's not the fastest thing to do. Obviously, if you're going for the top tier times, you wouldn't do that. But I would point out that, you know, we talk a lot about new players, new people come in, want to run Super Metroid. Obviously, anyone that wants to run this game can use any method that they want to use. Typically, I would advise you're probably going to have a smoother introduction and transition into the game if you start with old route, kind of learn your way around the game before moving to this. But it's not impossible to start with this route. But I do think that you're probably more likely to experience some frustration if you try to do the most difficult stuff first.
Yeah, it'll take you a long time just to complete a run if you try to do this route first. Like quite a while. My usual advice is, unless your name is Cool Kids, stick with old route first.
Yeah, I did new route first when I moved on to any %, but I've been running 100% for a long time. So very nice Kraid quick kill. So the way that works is you just need to shoot Kraid with a super missile when his mouth is in the correct position, and that will actually lock it in place so that you can get more super missiles in and just kill him before he even has a chance to get up above the ceiling there. So.
And as Zenny pointed out earlier, we're going to go ahead and grab that Various suit. We don't actually need it right now, but we will need it when we get to Torian, because Mother Brain's unavoidable rainbow beam attack after you defeat her does 600 damage if you don't have Varia and 300 damage if you do. So as he mentioned earlier, if we skipped Varia, we'd have to grab 3 more energy tanks. That would be significantly slower. So we've got that in our back pocket.
All right, so now we're going to be heading to Meridia. Similar to Upper Norfair, the movement in Meridia is very deceptively complex. It's really easy to just lose a lot of time here due to really minimal mistakes that most people wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that refer to Upper Norfair, for example, as sort of death by 1,000 cuts. You lose small amounts of time, little by little. Meridia is the kind of place where if you make a mistake, you probably won't necessarily die, depending on the circumstances, but you might lose a huge chunk of time. So, Botwoon, full halfy, Dragon, and then the potential spike suit. There's a lot of big tech in this part of the run.
So we are going to be heading into Botwoon here in just a minute, and Zoast needs a musical cue for the fight, so we're gonna shut up and let him use that.
Okay, thank you.
Very nice fight. So he timed when the X Factor was going to come out at the beginning of the fight based on the way that the song was playing there. And connecting all 4 of those X Factor particles allowed him to only need to hit Botwoon with 6 super missiles instead of what would normally be 10.
And actually, all things considered for your average run, this is certainly not, it's not like, the most ideal, but it's certainly not a bad loadout of ammo to have at this juncture. Zoast has, everything that he needs to be able to pull off the next portion of the run. So he's got the full halfy here, which is one of the sort of most famous tricks in Super Metroid. And he's going to get geared up for what we try to, I guess what we refer to as a 2 in blue strat on Dragon. This is going to require 2 short charge Shine Sparks and also a little bit of ammo and an X Factor.
So interestingly enough, Dragon is one of the bosses that takes damage from Shine Sparks as well as charged shots and ammunition. If I remember correctly, she actually takes half damage from Shine Sparks, which sort of indicates that it was at least partially developer intended.
Great opener.
Very nice fight. And he gets the spike suit, so that is a frame-perfect trick that allows Zoast to carry a Shine Spark with him to use wherever he would like, without the normal timer that would restrict how long he would be able to hold on to it.
And once again... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Zoast.
Unlike Blue Suit, you can run with this too. Like when you have Blue Suit, you have a Shine Spark as well, but you cannot press the dash button or you lose it.
That's right. And once again, I would point out that in terms of your average run at this level, trying to cut every corner, this is very nice energy and ammo at this juncture. A lot of new route runs. One of the things that makes new route so crazy difficult to run top times in is that you can play extremely well, but you still need the game to help you. And there are a lot of times where the game just won't give you the ammo and energy that you need along the way, or you get stuck in Torian. So this is a pretty good loadout for the moment.
Yeah, this is a lot of supers for this. Botwoon, like you said earlier, Botwoon is usually pretty stingy with supers, so 2 supers is actually not too bad for Botwoon to drop. It's not the best ever, but it's pretty decent.
I think we've all been given 0 so many times that we're just happy to see any on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Anything's fun. Wow. I guess there's a lot of supers going into Turan.
Yeah, so like Zoast just mentioned, we are heading to Turian now, which is the final area of the game. Since all 4 of the main bosses have been defeated, we can now enter. And I also want to mention, Kipp already kind of covered this near the beginning of the run, but it's really incredible to watch people like Zoast play this game because they really do make everything look so effortless. But the level of complexity with Super Metroid is just the ceiling is so high in terms of what can be done. It's definitely not as easy as he's making it look.
That's one of my favorite things about this game is that the floor of the game, just, you know, playing it casually and also just doing some basic speedrunning, is very accessible. But as Zenny mentioned, the ceiling, what you can technically do, is so high that it really gives you know, a lot of opportunity to practice and get things down. So again, I would encourage anybody. We have a very supportive community. A ton of people in our community are in the chat right now. Everybody's very helpful. And if anybody is interested in getting into it, please join our Discord. And, you know, don't be discouraged immediately just because you can't play like Zoast. It might, you know, it might take you a couple weeks before you can play as good as this.
I've been playing this game for 7 years and plus some change, so pretty constantly spearing this game for like 7+ years. So.
And I'd like to also point out that Zoast is not only, you know, one of our absolute top tier runners at any percent, but Super Metroid has a ton of really diverse categories. Zenny here is the world record holder at RBO and any percent glitched. Zoast is world record holder of, I think, GT Classic, GT Space Time, several extension categories, and has top 2 or 3 times in basically almost every category there is, and they're all totally different. So there's really a lot to learn here and a lot to invest your time into. It's a game that you can invest a lot of time into, and it always feels good because you're always learning new stuff.
It's also very rewarding when you learn something new and then you pull it off in a run.
Big time. So here, if you look at Zoast, his ammo, he's got 20 regular missiles. So he went from like 200 energy to almost 340 there. That's because he wasn't getting any regular missile drops. He was getting all energy on that second room. So here, since he does have that extra missile pack, he could just regular missile these down and be 100% good to go in terms of ammo. But as expected, he got a little bit of energy, some missiles, and some supers there.
Yeah, I went ahead and missiled the 4th room just to be safe. Just in case they dropped nothing, I wouldn't be behind, like, short missiles, and plus, there's just a little bit more energy. If you skip the baby, you're, like, you know, I think 10 more energy here, or something like that. With the Rinka boost.
Yeah, that's a good call. The Rinka only did 10 damage, but let's see the baby skip.
It's going to be a slow baby skip. I got crouch lock at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, at least you made it through.
I did.
That was actually amazing that you pulled that off, because not only did you get crouch lock, but you also landed on that little, whatever you call it.
The little dome.
Yeah, so normally that giant Metroid there, we refer to it as a baby because it's the same Metroid that Ridley stole at the beginning of the game. Basically, it homes in on you and drains Samus energy all the way down to 1. But with correct movement, you can avoid getting grabbed by it entirely. And you know, I was kind of hoping that Zoast was going to get grabbed, so I wouldn't have to feel bad about getting grabbed at my own GDQ run. But it's too bad.
There's a lot going on in this Mother Brain room in terms of tech. He did a Zeb skip, but he did a very advanced method using a down back. And then on top of that, it'd be really hard to try to explain the Mother Brain 1 sequence here. But he needed like 18 total projectiles and then also a broken glass and 3,000 damage, I believe. So anyway, either way, as you can see, he's got 5 extra missiles. He didn't miss anything. That's the extra missile pack that he picked up that he normally wouldn't in a world record attempt. But now he's got 60 shots on Mother Brain 2. I believe at shot 46, she will start firing those rainbow beams. And hopefully we'll get through here without any issue.
Yeah, at shot 46, she'll start firing what we refer to as ketchup. She has some other attacks here: meatballs, onion rings, French fries. So,
another small piece of tech here. that is very helpful if you're doing a low percent category. Zoast actually landed on top of that bomb a second ago. He just did it again. This time he took some damage, but earlier he landed on it in a way to where the damage value actually ended up being 0. So he's in good shape, but now he's in the red beam phase. We'll see if he can finish this up.
See, I only miss baby skip when I want to let Ivan get ahead. AGDQ. I'm just kidding.
So as you can see, the rainbow beam has drained Samus down to 59 energy. So if we had had even one less energy tank, she would be dead at this point. And again, the reason that we picked up Varia was specifically for the damage reduction on that beam.
That's right, and this is normally where, you know, maybe people who aren't quite as familiar with the game a lot of times will ask why Zoast isn't doing a stand-up glitch right now. Technically, there is a glitch in the game that allows you to stand up during this sequence and actually do some damage to Mother Brain, but you won't see it in any percent because you would have to have 4 more energy tanks just to be able to stand up. And then secondly, even with this beam combination, the efficiency of it would be greatly reduced because we're only doing 300 per charge shot instead of 900 if you had the full beam combo with plasma. So this is a moment where you just get to chill a little bit and get ready to do Mother Brain 3 and then the escape.
Yeah, when you're on, like, if you're on record pace during this cutscene, it's really bad because you get 3 minutes to sit here and think about how much you can mess up the escape.
Exactly.
It's really...
This game will do that to you 3 times because if you get a really sick Phantoon early, then when you're at bowling, you're like, oh my god, okay, I've got to run. I don't need to mess this up. And then if you get the G4 on time, then you have to sit there and think about that too. So yeah, it can be pretty nerve-wracking.
That is one thing that's kind of nice about Super Metroid, though, is that there is a lot of downtime in the run between item fanfares, door transitions, and what was already mentioned. So even though, like, there's a lot going on and it is a pretty constant game, there are a lot of little mini breaks here and there to kind of just reset yourself and prep for whatever's coming next.
Yeah, it's a great game to stream, you know, as a speedrunner because you get plenty of opportunity to interact with chat and, you know, check messages and stuff. So, and Zoast, I will, you know, point out, if any of you guys have never seen a Zoast stream, you should definitely check it out. A lot of fun. Not only do you have great Super Metroid play, but a lot of great conversation, good music. And this is the kind of game that allows for streams like that to happen.
Very nice escape so far. Try not to Zenny Spark Zoast.
Our final moonfall of the run right here.
His Shine Spark up the climb is one of my favorite parts of the run, actually. It's almost like it adds some urgency to Samus getting off the planet before it explodes, just how fast she shoots up that room there.
And I would like to point out, we only have 4 people on the planet who have ever run a 41 in this game, and this would have been a 41 had Phantoon been kinder. GG Zoast, excellent run. That was fantastic.
Very excellent run. Like Kipp said, I think Phantoon really was the main thing that prevented that from being a 41.
Yeah, for sure. That was absolutely terrible Phantoon, so yeah. Like, from optimal Phantoon, I lost like 30 seconds on Phantoon easily.
Actually, I think y'all should be hype about this. I think we just witnessed the world record in triple slow Phantoon runs. So congratulations,
GG. What's the best any percent time for GDQ runs? Do we know?
I want to say this is probably it.
Excellent job.
I really don't think there's a faster one in GDQ.
You would be correct. I think 44 minutes flat is the fastest.
Wow.
You skipped the 43.
Oh.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Zoast. Thank you, Kipp and ShinyZeni, for the commentary.
Yeah, thanks guys for commentating for me.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no
These guys are
problem.
great.
Thank you for having me.
These guys are great runners on their own, so like follow them too.
All right, thank you.
Cool. So yeah, we're gonna take a couple minutes break, and then we'll be back with Metroid Zero Mission.